right, so these days children spend a significant chunk of their daily time on digital devices. From education to games, they consume everything digitally. But if there's one thing that they learn really late in life is managing their personal finance. Parents are usually hesitant to let their kids deal with money and investments at an early age. But in a world that's changing rapidly, perhaps it's time that you inculcate good money habits in your children. And to help you figure out how you should go about doing this, let's bring on board Padmini Gupta, CEO Xare. Padmini, good evening and welcome to the ET Money Show. We are going to talk about saving and investment habits in teens, and especially when we are talking about this, we will also talk about pocket money saving apps, which parents are also using smartly to help their kids understand the importance of savings and investment. But before I dive into the questions for these apps, I want to understand, because the teens these days and the millennials also, they are immensely invested in money making. They are interested in knowing the ways to do this. But talking about awareness, talking about education, talking about the upbringing that's needed so that you can take smart money calls is still not there. That's still a miss. If I have to understand from you, what's the kind of parenting trend that you're seeing where parents are actually helping their teens understand the money value and helping them establish a very healthy rapport with their money?
Well, first, Kavita, thanks for having me on the show. And that's a really interesting question, right? So I want to go back a little bit. Every single rupee of consumer spending starts as income in the hands of the income earner, so the parent in this case, whether that's a businessman or a rickshaw driver. So dependent spending starts with the income starts in the hands of income earners, right? And only 1/3 of India works. So 2/3 of India is actually spending someone else's income. We estimate that 50% of consumer spending in India is not done by the income earner, but a dependent. So whether that's housewives, elderly parents, siblings, kids, or teens. So a teen banking app is a specific use case of dependent spending, and I would assume a significant chunk of the dependent spending market in India. In the past, this was actually managed by cash and maybe cards. Now, since that bulk of spending is digital or online, giving kids access to an app they can use to spend and giving parents visibility over that spend, it's a no-brainer.
All right. So, Padmini, also because of the emergence of digital wallets, and so much of online payment patterns, which you also rightly pointed out, teens have no doubtly, they are interested. But then talking about the specific role of these money apps, which we are talking about, and their specific pocket money savings app, how do they operate? I know you have shared like a list of these apps or a platform on your website, but what kind of money saving habits are these apps inculcating in kids, and how are parents involved with it?
So most of these apps are, I listed many of them on our website, right? So anyone from FamPay to Junio. But most of these apps give teenagers a card, which the parent can top up and then monitor and control where the teenager is spending. We at Xare are designed differently compared to the other apps. We're designed as an app to manage any dependent spending, not just kids. So we simply allow the parent to share their existing card with their teenager, set limits, and have complete visibility on where that money is being spent. And that's designed as a global proposition. So parents can share their cards across borders, whether it's an NRI parent sitting in New York, sharing with family in India, or the parent is in Delhi sharing with their kids in Dubai. It works anywhere instantly. What happens with a lot of current apps is you download the app, you apply for a card, you get the card, then you put money on the card, then you let the kid spend, and at the end of the month, when you get the statement, you're like, oh, okay, did the kid do it right? Did they do it wrong? What do I give them for doing it right? And what do I take away from doing it wrong? So you're actually waiting till it's too late to make those decisions to help them make those decisions. With Xare, it's different because it's instant, right? You hey, here's 50 rupees. You can go buy yourself a book, right? They buy a good book. You're like, okay, you know what? My kid did it right. I'm going to do this again with them. Let me give them 100 rupees and see where they actually spend it. I'm, as a parent, now building better money management habits with my kid. They're learning how to use money in a way that I can depend on, right? And as a parent, I can actually award them every time they use it well. But if they don't use it well, if something goes wrong in the process, with Xare, you can instantly stop it. So parents can essentially say, okay, you know what? I am going to, for the kids earlier in the stage, I'm going to approve every single transaction. Then when I feel that they're doing things right, I'm going to let them approve their transactions up to a certain amount for a certain period of time, and then for a longer period. And that can continue to go on and on until you've built what you have as a financially aware teen.
That's very interesting. So, okay, so Padmini, now let's go app by app, okay? Because I can see a list which has Share in it, FamPay, Streak, Muvin, and then you have Junio. So let's start with Share, because your parents can actually create, or they allow their kids to have credit card as well as debit card. So how does this work? It's easy money for kids.
So look, we're all essentially just giving our money to the teenager anyway, right? So we decide whether it's our debit card that they're going to be using or the credit card that they're going to be using, and how they're going to be using it. The feature of Share that works really well is that you can decide on a lot of things. Which websites are they going to be using the card on? How much is their limit? How much is their daily limit? Can I give it higher? I can increase it for a certain day, for a certain time period, for certain
I'm sorry, I'm cutting you
events
in
like
between, because
birthdays.
did you also say that parents can control the amount of websites the teens can go and shop from? The website
Yes.
parent control also. Oh, that's interesting.
Yes. And that makes it a game changer, right? Because you
Totally.
know which
Yeah.
sites you don't want your kids on
Yeah.
Dream 11. You do want your kids on, like book buying and things that they need, right? Maybe they want to shop on Amazon for a laptop.
That's interesting. I think that's a very,
So
yeah,
it
sure.
yeah, it instills good habits. And then also saying, okay, you know what, these are turned off. Why are they turned off? Because my parents don't want me to go on there. And they're essentially saying, I'm learning something good here. And I'm learning it in a very safe environment on an ongoing basis. You don't want to find out your kids like taking your card and run it up at the wrong place at the end of the month. Then it's way too late.
Talking about FamPay, so they offer a card which is co-branded with IDFC Bank, and I can see a lot of gamified challenges within the app, which are there to lure teens, and also parental control, as you just mentioned, but in a different way. So, what kind of co-branded card we are talking with IDFC Bank over here? That's a part of FamPay app.
It's a teen card.
Okay.
It's the fan pay card. It's a teen card, and then they issue the card to the teenager.
All right. And what about,
And
yeah.
essentially, what it is like a regular card. You can take that card and you fund it. Say you want to fund it for 500 rupees, you fund that card, and then the teenager can take it to any store and use it to pay for things that they need or you feel that they need for them.
Apps also have money management lessons. Like, for example, if I just go through the highlights of Streak, it says that, this app actually teaches teens or kids to manage their money, to have a particular amount of savings. So it goes as per their goal. Like, for example, a kid has decided that by the end of this month, I want so much money in my hand and I want to save this as a part of something. So the app actually helps them save that money. Is this a part of Streak? Is it that one of the kind of features?
So I have not looked in depth on the gamification part of it, but I think that both FanPay and Streak have gamification as part of their process, because the more you sort of gamify and you teach kids the right habits, the better they get at saving. Um, and this can be done like every day, or it can be done through games that they have on the app as well, right? So you want to save $50 at the end of the month, and then you get 5 extra points, then the game helps you get there.
So the features that I can see common in almost all the app is the parents control over it. The parents get the notification. The parents get to decide how much money they should be uploading in that particular account for their kid to use, and also the online and real-time notification of where the money is going and what the kid is actually using it for. But help me understand, because we are talking about money management over here, and if I have to talk about Xare, your app, what's the kind of traffic that you're seeing? What's the kind of purchases? What's the kind of budgeting habits you are teaching teens or parents also, for that matter, because parents also in a way are learning how to teach their kids the skill of money management and investments and saving and budgeting. So how is the traffic decoding all these trends on your app, Padmini?
Look, the first thing is that parents actually want their kids to be on the app, right? Because we see that kids are actually much smarter now than they were a generation ago, and they want to learn really fast. So there's that trend. The second is that kids are purchasing much more digitally than they are physically, because they're much more digitally aware. And so that's another trend we're seeing. The third trend we're seeing is this use of, what you called gamification, we call it rewards. So the upping of limits during certain periods of time and the lowering of limits during other periods of time. So this can be either because it's a reward or a disincentive, a reward for good behavior, disincentive from bad behavior, a reward for an event that's happening, so a birthday, graduation, I don't know, just because you want to sort of gift. And the other thing, the fourth thing we're seeing is this thing around taking away access when things are going wrong, and then giving access when things are going right, right? So um, some some people do switch it off for a couple of days because maybe things have not gone right there, and then they switch it back on and say, okay, you know what, week of learning's over. Let's move on to the next step that is going to happen will happen. And I think all of these combined are very simple. What they are is we are teaching our kids in a very safe environment through instant learning, instant sharing, instant sort of gratification and sort of development support, how to manage money, because these are life lessons. Managing money is not something that you learn once and you take it away for life. This is something that will keep growing on the kids, and our kids are learning everything. They're involved in things like their politics, the United Nations discussions. They're involved in financial discussions, right? Mine talk about it on the dinner table. So why not allow them to play with, to use some money and learn those lessons that will take them through their life?
Last question to you, Padmini. Is there any kind of a charge that one has to pay to use these apps?
So, look, I will be honest. I was more interested in what does it take, who's good at it, when I did this study. Share's free, so I'll give you that part of it. If there are other apps, then I'm pretty sure they're not substantial in their costs. Um, and it's worth the lesson, right? It's worth the life lesson that you're going to teach your kid.
If you talk about the financial literacy that's actually needed, and that's also which is also being done by these apps, it's totally worth it. And with that, thank you so much, Padmini, for being on the show and helping our viewers through this. So that was a lesson for all the parents on how they can teach their kids all the money management skills which are needed through an app.